My father-in-law and I have something in common. We both married into the Morgan family dynasty. He and my mother-in-law, Catherine, were childhood sweethearts, their bond seemingly unbreakable. But one day he grabbed my hands, his eyes filled with tears. Liam, he sobbed, your mother-in-law? She's been seeing someone. For years. They even have a kid together. I've been a fool for more than a decade. A walking joke. A lump formed in my own throat. Arthur, I said, my voice thick, it's not just her. Chloe, she's got someone too. She bought him a condo. A whole goddamn condo in Tribeca. We clung to each other, two grown men weeping. After a long moment, Arthur sniffled. Trust them? You'd have better luck teaching a pig to fly. He pulled back, his eyes hardening. Liam, I'm done with that woman. I'm with you, Arthur. Wherever you go, I declared. I'm done with Chloe too. And just like that, a pact was formed. We started plotting our escape. After brainstorming, we landed on the perfect solution, faking our deaths. Arthur, despite coming from a good family himself, had married Catherine when they were just 20. He dedicated his life to being a house husband, supporting the Morgan Empire from the home front. He was a surprisingly innocent man, but he could act when he needed to. Liam, this is everything I've managed to pull together, he said, sliding a portfolio across the table. How do we start? I opened it and my eyes went wide. $50 million. The man was a financial prodigy in his own right. My own escape fund seemed pathetic in comparison, a mere $5 million. Still, combined, it was more than enough to last us several lifetimes. I have a plan, Arthur. He trusted me completely, so I got to work. Catherine's birthday was in 2 days, and we'd arranged for the party to be on a yacht. It was novel, stylish, and, most importantly, the perfect stage for a disappearance. With time being short, I outsourced all the arrangements. As for the trigger for our deaths, naturally, it had to be him. If Leo Vance had the balls to accept a multi-million-dollar condo for my wife, he could damn well bear the consequences. On the night of the party, Arthur looked impeccable in a tailored Versace suit, his handsome, mature face a mask of calm. Catherine Morgan stood beside him, still stunning and impeccably preserved for her age, drawing admiring glances from the titans of industry who orbited them. As guests mingled, her eyes found mine across the deck. She gave me a subtle nod, a silent acknowledgement between us. Just then my wife, Chloe, sidled up and looped her arm through mine. Liam, you look so handsome tonight. The warmth of her hand on my arm sent a jolt through me, and I instinctively shifted away. You look beautiful as always, I said, my tone clipped. You've certainly attracted a swarm. The daggers I'm getting from your admirers could kill a man. A dozen young, handsome men were indeed staring at Chloe. She leaned her head against my shoulder. They can look, but they can't touch. I belong only to you. I fought back a wave of nausea and met the gaze of a man standing a short distance away. Leo? I offered a smile that didn't reach my eyes. A shame. Someone's bound to get their heart broken. I looked back at Chloe. That Tribeca condo is quite the investment, Chloe. Mr. Vance must be very special to you. Chloe froze, her hand dropping from my arm. Don't misunderstand, she said, her voice suddenly formal. It was a business decision. Understand, I said, the sarcasm thick. $1 billion gesture of love. Right. She started to explain further, but I cut her off, patting her arm. I'm going to go check on Arthur. You enjoy yourself. As if on cue, Leo Vance moved in to occupy her attention. I seized the opportunity and made my way toward my father-in-law. When I reached him, he pulled me toward the ship's railing on the quieter side of the deck. Ready, Liam, he whispered. Ready as I'll ever be. Don't you worry. We shared a dark, conspiratorial smile. Just then, Leo approached us. Liam and Arthur, good to see you, sir. Arthur's face was a mask of cold fury. Mr. Vance, you have some nerve, showing your face here after conning my daughter into buying you a place to live. Leo's face paled. Sir, I didn't. Chloe did that on her own accord. Slap. Arthur could no longer contain himself. The sound echoed in the night air. Leo stood there, stunned. I let out a cold laugh. Always calling her Chloe this and Chloe that. Who the hell do you think you are? Arthur has one daughter. You're no brother of hers. I stepped closer. Do your fans on social media know what a shameless parasite you are in real life? Enraged, Leo lunged at me, clutching his cheek. Arthur and I engaged him in a messy scuffle. Then, with a feigned loss of balance, I stumbled backward, tumbling over the railing and into the dark water below. Liam! Arthur screamed, lunging for me, his hands grasping at empty air. Leo was horrified. No, it wasn't me. Who else could it be? You give me back my son-in-law. Arthur roared, grabbing Leo and dragging him toward the railing. Terrified, Leo shoved him back with all his might. And from behind them, A gut-wrenching scream tore through the night. Dad! Panic erupted on the yacht. People rushed around, shouting, searching the dark waves. A short distance away, I was pulled onto a smaller, waiting speedboat. Arthur hovered over me, his voice trembling. Liam, are you all right? I'm fine, Arthur. I'm fine. Wrapped in a blanket, I watched the chaotic lights of the yacht grow smaller and smaller, the frantic noise fading into the distance. A profound sense of relief washed over me. Once we were safely ashore in a pre-rented safe house, we sat on the sofa watching the news. A massive headline made us both frown. #tragedy at Morgan CEO's birthday gala. Husband and son-in-law fall overboard, presumed lost at sea. On the screen, Leo Vance's face was pale, his eyes red and swollen as he wept. It wasn't my fault. I didn't push them. They fell. We watched as police led him away in handcuffs. Chloe and Catherine stood nearby, their faces grim. Chloe, in particular, looked utterly devastated. I scoffed and turned off the TV. Arthur patted the back of my hand. Don't worry. It's all an act. They're probably thrilled we're gone. You just watch. Leo will be out in a couple of days. And Catherine's secret lover will probably make an appearance soon, too, I added. I nodded. Just as we predicted, 3 days later, Leo was released. A horde of reporters was waiting, citing insufficient evidence. The police let him go, and Chloe herself was there to pick him up. The cameras swarmed them. Ms. Morgan, it's rumored Leo Vance was in an argument with your husband and father just before the incident. Is that true? Are you two putting this behind you now? What's the latest on the search? Has the Morgan family given up hope? Chloe's face was a thundercloud. Please refer to the official police statements. Watching the video on my phone, I couldn't help but sneer. Damn you, Chloe. That man was the center of her universe, and she couldn't even bear to see him face a single accusation. She was actually protecting him. Furious, I closed the app. Arthur and I decided it was time to get out of the country. We opened an offshore account, making the money untraceable, and began a world tour. Having cash to burn changes everything. Life became a blur of 5-star hotels, extravagant parties, and endless indulgence. It was liberating. Curiously, the Morgans never held a funeral. As long as our bodies weren't found, our case remained open. The media was filled with speculation about whether we were truly dead, but I remained unbothered, soaking up the sun on a beach somewhere, admiring the local scenery. Life couldn't be better. After about 6 months of this, however, even paradise started to feel a little dull. Arthur and I decided to return to the U.S. and bought a boutique lodge in a scenic part of coastal Oregon. We spent our days checking in guests and counting cash. It was a simple, satisfying life. The news stories about us gradually faded away. I figured this was how we'd live out our days, and Arthur seemed to agree. We were like father and son, occasionally hitting up a local bar to scope out the scene. Arthur, surprisingly, had become quite the wingman, offering critiques on potential dates for me. But the good times were about to come to a screeching halt. During peak tour season, the lodge was booming. I got a huge booking. A client wanted to rent out the entire main villa for a whole month. They even offered an extra $20,000 on top, with the condition that no one else be allowed on the property. Of course I agreed. When they told me it was just for 2 people, I assured them they'd have the entire place to themselves. This had to be some young couple on a romantic getaway. I was determined to give them the best service possible and even stock the villa with gourmet food and wine. Arthur was pleased, too. Before the guests arrived, he dragged me out for a photo shoot. Life is for living, Liam, he said, looking at the proofs. We'd gone for a rugged Pacific Northwest lumberjack theme. Look at you. So handsome. We need to get you back out there. You're still young. You can't let yourself stay hung up on Chloe. His words warmed me. I know, Arthur. I'm ready. Chloe was a mistake, but if I meet the right person, I won't say no. I grinned. Speaking of which, I see Mrs. Henderson from next door coming around a lot. Are you thinking about a second act yourself? He waved a dismissive hand, a faint blush on his cheeks. She's a nice enough woman, I suppose. But she's no Catherine. A shiver went down my spine. Arthur, you can't possibly still be thinking about my ex-mother-in-law, can you? Please. He rolled his eyes, his face full of disdain. Ever since I found out what she really is, I haven't wanted anything to do with her. But you have to understand, Liam. We were together since we were kids. It's been a long time. It's hard to picture anyone else, at least for now. He paused, a mischievous glint in his eye. Though some of these younger women around here are certainly appealing, maybe I could give it a try. Hearing that, my own spirits lifted. It seems it's true what they say. Men are boys forever, always with an eye for youth. This I could work with. I snapped my fingers. I heard that new bar downtown has a bunch of new dancers. All types. They even do cosplay nights. What do you say we check it out tonight? Arthur's face lit up. We were in complete agreement. Tonight was the night. After our photo shoot, the young makeup artist who had helped us was gushing. You have the most authentic frontiersman vibe of anyone I've ever worked on. Can I post a picture on my TikTok for promo? Sure, I said. Just a side profile, nothing straight on. No problem. She posted a shot of my silhouette against the forest backdrop, and I didn't think much of it. That evening, Arthur and I changed and headed straight for the bar. Though he was pushing 60, Arthur's life of leisure had preserved him well. He didn't look a day over 45. Under the dim, pulsating lights, we settled into a plush VIP booth. The manager, familiar with high rollers, smoothly brought a line of dancers over for our consideration. I pulled out 2 thick stacks of hundreds and tossed them on the table. Bring us your best. Don't waste our time with anything less. The manager scurried away and returned with a new group he pulled to the front. I clicked my tongue. Is that it? I heard you had a couple of real showstoppers new to the scene. Arthur casually rotated the massive diamond watch on his wrist, and the manager's eyes widened. Rest assured, gentlemen, they'll be right out. We waited and waited, but no one appeared. I sighed. Looks like this place is overrated. The quality is inconsistent. Just as the words left my mouth, 2 figures emerged from the entrance. Their silhouettes were familiar. They wore masks, but their posture and the way they carried themselves were unmistakable. Even in simple, low-cut black dresses, they radiated an aura of power and sophistication. I sat up straighter, my eyes locking onto them. Gentlemen, the manager purred, returning to our table. Our headliners. I waved him away, and he vanished. The 2 women approached our booth, a slow, predatory smile playing on their lips. A cold dread crept up my spine. Something was very, very wrong. My heart skipped a beat. Arthur, I whispered, do you get a weird feeling about them? Their figures are incredible, Liam, but they look awfully familiar. One of the women stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me, pulling me into an embrace. A wave of her signature scent, a blend of cedarwood and something uniquely her, hit me, and my blood ran cold. Liam Foster, a voice purred in my ear. Are you satisfied with what you see? That voice. My world exploded. I was screwed. Trembling, I reached up and pulled off her mask. A pair of almond-shaped eyes I knew better than my own stared back at me. I felt dizzy. Well, Chloe said, her voice dripping with venom. Look at you, Liam. Running off with my father to live it up in the wilderness. Have you had your fun yet? Across the booth, Catherine had also removed her mask. She stared at a gleeful Arthur, her expression turning to stone. Arthur, she said, her voice dangerously low, you have some explaining to do. Suddenly, Arthur's eyes rolled back in his head, and he slumped over in a dead faint. I wanted to do the same, but in the next second, Chloe's hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. Her other hand cupped the back of my head, and she pulled me into a hard, punishing kiss. I shoved her away, wiping my mouth furiously, my face dark with anger. Don't touch me. Isn't Leo supposed to be keeping you company? What are you doing here, playing the loving wife? Who are you trying to fool? Chloe stared at me for a long moment, then laughed. There is no Leo. Don't lie to me. I saw everything. The reporters saw it. Are you going to keep lying to my face? Her smile widened. What's this? Are you jealous? Jealous of you? Go to hell. Beside us. Catherine hauled the unconscious Arthur to his feet. Chloe, handle your man. We'll settle our own affairs. With that, she half-dragged, half-carried Arthur out of the bar. I tried to follow, but Chloe blocked my path, slinging an arm around my shoulders and forcibly steering me out a different exit. The bar owner started to approach, but one icy glare from Chloe sent him retreating. She took me back to the lodge. I struggled the entire way. Let go of me. You'll disturb the guests. I am a guest, Liam. I'm the one who booked the lodge. The words hit me like a bolt of lightning. Of course. I should have known. Who else would be so extravagant as to book the entire place for a month? Chloe dragged me into one of the rooms and stood with her hands on her hips. I had to admit, the woman was a knockout, the curves, the narrow waist. It was dizzying. After months of being surrounded by beautiful women, I thought I'd become immune, but looking at Chloe, I couldn't tear my eyes away. What? I finally managed to say, do you want? That's my question for you, she shot back. Faking your death, and not just your own, but dragging my father into your ridiculous scheme. Liam, you've got some serious nerve. I scoffed. You drove me to it. You bought your boy toy a condo. What right does a cheating wife have to question me? I turned to leave, but she shoved me, sending me tumbling back onto the bed. In a flash, she was on top of me, pinning my wrists above my head. Liam, it's not what you think. There's nothing between Leo and me. Save it. I know he's the one who pushed me off that yacht, and you still bailed him out. You call that nothing? You used me and threw me away. I kicked out, my foot connecting with her shin. She grunted in pain, and I used the moment to throw her off and bolt for the door. I flung it open, only to find two large men in suits blocking the hallway. Sir, one of them said, his voice flat, Ms. Morgan has instructed that you are not to leave this building. I spun around and glared at Chloe, who had followed me to the door. You can't leave, Liam, and if you try, things might get very difficult for your family back home. I hadn't dared contact my family since I'd left. Now she was using them against me. My fists clenched at my sides. You wouldn't dare, I seethed. She was unfazed by my powerless rage. You and my father are both going to have to face the consequences for this little stunt. Chloe, I swear, if you touch them, I'll kill you. She just smiled and beckoned me with a finger. Come on, let's talk. I took a deep breath. Fine, we'll talk. I'm not afraid of you, but I was worried about Arthur. I glanced toward the suite upstairs, where I could hear muffled, angry voices. Chloe saw my look and covered my eyes with her hand. Don't worry about him. Whatever Mom's angry about, she never truly hurt Dad. I slapped her hand away, my face a mask of contempt. You two are cut from the same cloth. The mother has a secret lover and a bastard son, and the daughter buys her boy toy condo. I sneered. You know, Chloe, your position at the top isn't secure. Your mother's secret son is going to come back and fight you for the family fortune. Chloe looked at me, completely bewildered. A secret son fighting for the inheritance? Liam, have you been reading too many cheap novels? What has my father been teaching you? She shook her head. And you're a top university graduate. I glared at her. This is what you two have done. Why are you blaming me? Liam, you seriously need to get your head checked. My mother does not have a secret son, and my relationship with Leo is not what you think it is. I don't believe a word you say. Fine, don't believe me, she said, her voice laced with frustration. But even the reporters saw it. Answer me this. If he's the one who pushed me and Arthur off the yacht, why did you bail him out? I jabbed a finger at her. In that condo downtown. Did you or did you not pay for it? Yes or no? Chloe sighed, defeated. Yes. There you have it. I threw my hands up. In that case, let's just get a divorce. A divorce? Are you serious? Of course I'm serious. I'm done. When we got married, I made my terms clear. I would marry into your family, but I needed a wife who was committed to me, not one who was playing games on the side. There's no room for a third person in this marriage. Chloe was looking at me with a strange expression. Leo is just a new actor signed to my media division. I put him in a show to make money for the company. That condo, he only has the right to use it. He doesn't own it. She paused, then delivered the final blow. And technically, the property is in your name. I froze, stunned into silence. Seeing my disbelief, Chloe pulled out her phone and showed me a picture of the deed. The condo was purchased under your name, Liam. I told Leo he could live there as long as he needed. Do you understand? No, I don't understand. All I know is that in public, you doted on him. You let him parade around as if you were the new Mr. Morgan. I glared at her, my resolve hardening. Let's just get a divorce. We can go our separate ways, and you can sponsor whoever you want without me getting in the way. Just as I finished speaking, a furious roar echoed from upstairs. It was Arthur. Stop lying to me. That man practically brought the boy to my doorstep. Catherine, we were childhood sweethearts. We built this life together. Is this how you repay me? That kid is 16 years old. How long were you going to lie to me? Crash. The door to the suite upstairs flew open, and Arthur stormed out. He saw me, his eyes filled with tears, and grabbed my arm. Let's go, Liam. Forget them. He pointed a shaking finger back at the suite. Throw them out. I hesitated. But Arthur, they're the guests who booked the place for a month. What? Arthur was thunderstruck. He couldn't believe it. Disgusting, he sputtered. Refund their money and tell them to leave. Catherine appeared at the top of the stairs. We don't want the money. Arthur, please let me explain. I don't want to hear it. We're getting a divorce. Liam, call the lawyers. If she won't sign, we'll sue. Arthur and I locked eyes. We were ready. This had to end. Hearing his words, Catherine clutched her chest, her face turning deathly pale. Arthur, you don't believe me. I've been with you all these years. When would I have had time to have a child? She swayed, looking like she was about to collapse. Arthur just sneered. Stop the act. I'm telling you. Before he could finish, Catherine crumpled to the floor with a soft thud. Arthur panicked. Catherine, wake up. Chloe, you idiot. What are you standing there for? Your mother just collapsed. Call an ambulance. Chloe, shaken, rushed to her mother's side as I followed suit, my own heart pounding. At the hospital, Arthur paced anxiously outside the emergency room. Watching him, I couldn't help but ask, You still care about her, don't you, Arthur? Who said that? He snapped. I'm worried that if she dies on my property, it'll be bad for business. He had a point. A death at our new lodge would be a PR nightmare. I sighed, seeing right through his tough guy facade. Chloe stood nearby, her voice low and tense. I don't know where you two got this crazy idea. It's completely baseless, and you're just slinging mud. Don't you try to sell me that nonsense. Arthur shot back. The man's name is Chun, and his son is 16 years old. The boy is the spitting image of your mother. And you ungrateful girl, siding with her against your own father. He glared at her. Chloe was about to respond when a nurse announced that Catherine was awake. She rushed in and grabbed Arthur's hand. Arthur, she pleaded, don't leave me. Arthur looked deeply uncomfortable. The doctor stepped in. The patient must avoid any emotional distress. Sudden spikes in blood pressure could lead to a cerebral hemorrhage. It would be best if a family member stayed with her. Trapped, Arthur reluctantly agreed to stay. He turned to me. Liam, you go get some rest. I'll be in the waiting room next door. Arthur, call me if you need anything. There was no way I was leaving him alone. I went to the adjacent private room, where it was just me and Chloe. She was about to say something when her phone rang. Annoyed, she silenced it, but I'd already seen the caller ID. Leo Vance. You should answer that, I said, my voice dripping with ice. You wouldn't want him to be sad. Chloe hesitated, but the phone immediately started ringing again. With a sigh of frustration, she answered. Her expression instantly changed to one of horror. What did you say? I let out a derisive chuckle. Nice acting. I shook my head and walked over to the window, staring out at the city lights flickering against the dark sky. From the next room, I could hear the faint murmur of voices. It sounded like Catherine was trying to explain something to Arthur. I wondered if they were getting anywhere. I knew Chloe and I weren't. Liam, you wait here for me, she said urgently. Something's come up. I'll be right back. She rushed out, leaving her bodyguards at the door. I sneered, a cold feeling settling in my stomach. I pulled out my phone. A new message had just come through. It was from an unknown number. Mr. Foster, my relationship with Chloe isn't what you think. Please don't misunderstand. It was signed, Leo. I froze. How did he know I was alive? And how the hell did he get my new number? Just then, a commotion erupted in the hallway. A low, male voice pleaded. Arthur, please don't be angry with me. I know you're upset, but I truly didn't mean for any of this to happen. He's a Morgan, too. Another voice, younger, cut in. Dad, get up. Apologize to him. A thud, as if someone had dropped to their knees, was followed by Arthur's furious roar. Who are you calling my family, you bastard? I burst out of the room to see a refined-looking man kneeling before my father-in-law, a teenage boy beside him. Arthur's face was beet red with rage. I immediately pushed the man back. Are you insane? You're going to show up here and stake your claim. I pointed at the bodyguards. Get them out of here. The boy stepped forward defiantly. What are you doing? Don't you dare bully my dad. Your dad is the one bullying mine. I shot back, the two of us squaring off like angry roosters. The man, Daniel Chun, looked mortified. I just came to see how she was. I didn't mean anything else. You're upsetting my father and my mother-in-law, I said through clenched teeth. I'm asking you to leave. Now, seeing my resolve, the two of them backed away, but didn't leave, lingering at the end of the hall. Just then, Catherine's voice came from the hospital room. Let them in. I was furious, but Arthur, surprisingly calm, just patted my arm and looked down at his phone, texting someone. Once Daniel Chin was inside, I couldn't hear what was said, but the sound of weeping soon followed. Arthur and I exchanged a look. So dramatic, Arthur muttered. I nodded in agreement, then remembered Chloe. Hey, Arthur, Leo somehow found out I'm alive. He just sent me a text. I showed him my phone. Arthur stared at it, speechless. Before he could say anything, the hospital room door opened. Arthur, Liam, come in. We entered together. Catherine was propped up in bed. I'd like you to meet Daniel Chun. I know who he is, Arthur said, his voice cold. And that's your secret son, right? You've misunderstood, Daniel Chin said softly. The boy's a Morgan, yes. But he's not Catherine's son. He's Isabel's. What? Arthur exclaimed. But she's been dead for years. He was starting to understand. Catherine explained. She left behind a child. Daniel Chun gave a bitter smile. I've been raising him on my own in the countryside, but I just can't make ends meet anymore. I had no choice but to seek out the Morgan family. He looked pleadingly at Arthur. This boy has a brilliant mind, but he's wasting away with me. He begged, I know this is a shock, Arthur, but please, I'm begging you, take Colin in. Dad, no. The boy, Colin, interrupted, his voice fierce. I'd rather eat dirt with you than go anywhere else. I noticed for the first time that the boy was still wearing his school uniform. I couldn't believe it. This was Chloe's cousin. Why hadn't Catherine just explained this from the start? Catherine sighed. I had only met with Daniel twice. I just transferred him $100,000 when your father found out and flew off the handle. I was going to explain everything at my birthday party, but then, she looked at us. After we found you, he wouldn't listen to a word I said. So I decided to bring them here to tell you in person. This is the paternity test. Isabel had it done before she passed away. So that was it. Arthur had assumed Daniel was his wife's lover. What a mess. I was still reeling. Catherine looked at me. Liam, could you take them and get them settled somewhere? Arthur, you stay. I need to talk to you. Arthur's expression was unreadable. I gave his shoulder a squeeze. Just talk it out. I've got your back. He nodded. I led Daniel and his son out of the room. Once we were in the hall, I felt a pang of guilt. I'm so sorry. We completely misunderstood. It's all right, Daniel said. It was my fault. I should have contacted Arthur directly. It's just that Colin looks so much like his mother. It's no wonder he jumped to that conclusion. He looked at me curiously. But what's going on with you and Chloe? She doesn't seem like the type to be reckless. Just the mention of her name made my blood boil. She still wasn't back. I'll get you to a room at a hotel nearby, I said, changing the subject. It's late. We can figure everything else out tomorrow. Daniel nodded. I took them to a hotel down the street and got them checked in. Then I called Chloe. A man's voice answered. It was Leo. Where's Chloe? I demanded. Mr. Foster, he said, his tone infuriatingly calm. Chloe is in the shower. Perhaps you could call back later. He hung up. I clenched my fists, my knuckles turning white. That son of a bitch. She was lying to me again. I was shaking with rage. I wanted to hunt her down and demand an explanation. But why should I let her lead me around by the nose? I called the bodyguard she'd left behind. Find Chloe. If you can't find her, you're all fired. They knew I wasn't bluffing and took off immediately. Next, I called my lawyer. I told him to verify that the Tribeca condo was, in fact, in my name. If it was, he was to serve Leo Vance with an immediate eviction notice. My house. Why the hell was another man living in my house? The lawyer was fast. He confirmed the property was mine. The eviction process began. My actions must have hit their mark, because soon my phone was ringing. It was Leo. Liam Foster, what the hell is this? Are you trying to ruin me? Isn't this what you wanted? I shot back. You wanted my wife. You get the consequences. I'm giving you 24 hours to get your crap out of my property. I hung up and blocked his number. Now, he was the one who should be panicking. An hour later, the bodyguards returned with Chloe. She was flushed, unsteady on her feet, and clinging to me. Liam, she murmured. I just want Liam. Sir, the head of security reported. Ms. Morgan was drugged. We found her just as Leo Vance was taking off her clothes and photographing her. A murderous rage surged through me. Where is he? We have him, sir. With a thud, Leo was thrown to his knees in front of me. His hair was a mess, and a fresh handprint was visible on his cheek. He looked pathetic. He spat on the floor, his eyes full of hatred. I was so close. You're a lucky bastard, Foster. Even drugged out of her mind, she was still calling your name. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Who the hell do you think you are, trying to take what's mine? I turned to the guards. Watch him. Make sure he's out of that condo by morning. And then I want him blacklisted. Everywhere. The guards nodded and dragged Leo away. I carried Chloe to a spare room in the hospital's private wing and had a doctor check on her. They hooked her up to N4 to flush the drugs out of her system. I was about to leave when her hand shot out and grabbed mine. Liam, don't go, she whispered, her eyes fluttering. It's all my fault. Please, don't leave me. She was half asleep, but still apologizing. Looking at her flushed face, I sighed and patted her hand. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going. She held onto my hand like a lifeline. I stayed there until the early hours of the morning, when I finally drifted off, slouched in the chair beside her bed. I woke up shivering, instinctively moving toward a source of warmth. A soft chuckle came from above me. Liam, I knew you couldn't bear to leave me. I was lying in the bed next to her, my arm draped over her. I shot up, my face burning, but she wrapped her arms around me, holding me tight. Husband, she whispered, you do have me in your heart. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come for me. You're so good to me. I took a deep breath, exasperated. How did Leo drug you? You must have given him the opportunity. I swear, Liam, it wasn't like that, she said, planting a kiss on my forehead. Leo called me and said he had pictures of you. He tried to blackmail me for $20 million. I had no choice but to go, and I walked right into his trap. She hugged me tighter. Thank you for saving me, my hero. She pulled back, her eyes flashing. I will not let Leo Vance get away with this. I thought you were going to make him a star and have him earn you money, I said, a hint of my old bitterness creeping in. Is this a case of love turning to hate? I never loved him, she said sharply. He was just a boy toy of Ms. Rayburn, the CEO of Thunderbolt Tech. I was only tolerating him as a favor to her. Now that he's crossed me, he thinks I'll show him mercy? Not a chance. Good, I said, because I already had him thrown out. Chloe's arms tightened around me. Good job, husband. I gently pushed her back. Okay, let go. People will see. I remembered the other revelation. By the way, it turns out Colin is your Aunt Isabel's son. Chloe blinked, then it registered. Colin? Daniel Chin's son? So that's what this was all about. I knew my mother would never do something like that. She looked at me, her expression serious. Liam, you can't ever scare me like that again. You have no idea. Mom and I were on the verge of doing something drastic. I didn't say anything. She buried her head in my chest, and I sighed, resigning myself to my fate as I wrapped my arms around her. Once Chloe had recovered, Arthur and Catherine also made up. We brought Daniel and his son back to the Morgan estate with us. Somehow, the press had gotten wind of our return and were camped outside the gates. How did Leo know where to find me? I asked Chloe quietly. And how did you? Darling, she said with a smirk, that rugged lumberjack photo of yours went viral on TikTok. Everyone knew where you were. Leo just got there a few hours before I did, because he was already in the area trying to spy on you. So that was it. The makeup artist post. I hadn't given it a second thought. Now, facing a wall of cameras, I had no idea what to do. Chloe took my hand. Catherine shielded Arthur. The official story they fed the press was that Arthur and I had miraculously survived the yachting accident and had spent the last 6 months recuperating in seclusion. When the viral photo of me as a lodge owner surfaced online, the public pieced the rest together. The comment sections were wild. Recuperating? More like a 6-month vacation after a massive fight. But it was a divorce in the making. What happened to Leo Vance? Heard he got kicked out of his fancy condo. Looks like the original wife won this round. Fun fact, Leo Vance was the kept man of Ms. Rayburn at Thunderbolt Tech. Morgan Industries just completed a hostile takeover of Thunderbolt. Leo lost his value and got kicked to the curb. The corporate wars you imagine, epic stock market battles. The real corporate wars, son-in-law and his father-in-law jump off a yacht. Reading those comments was embarrassing. The rumors definitely had an impact on the Morgan family's image, but Chloe and her mother were ruthless. Within days, the negative press vanished, scrubbed clean from the internet. A few weeks later, Arthur and I were having drinks in the garden. He slid a credit card across the table to me. What's this, Arthur? The rest of the escape fund. You keep it. I'll just ask your mother-in-law for more later. He winked. Your mom gets emotional if I don't spend her money. She thinks I'm planning to run off again. He was basically force-feeding me a rom-com moment, and I had no choice but to accept the card. Liam, he said, leaning in conspiratorially, a woman needs a little insecurity to keep her on her toes. It's what keeps a man in the driver's seat. So, what do you say we hit up a club tonight? I stared at him, then broke into a wide grin. Absolutely. No question. I gave him an okay sign. The pact was renewed. That evening, Arthur convinced Catherine to attend some charity gala, and I sent Chloe along with her, telling her to keep a close eye on her mother and ward off any unwanted admirers. The moment they were gone, Arthur and I made a break for it. The clubs in New York City were on another level entirely, a huge step up from the local bars in Oregon. I watched the dancers on stage, the raw energy, the blatant sensuality. One of them came right up to our table and invited me to touch her toned stomach. My face went bright red. Arthur roared with laughter. Don't be shy, Liam. You paid for the ticket. Might as well enjoy the show. My hand moved forward, only to be caught midair by another, much stronger hand. Husband, I froze. A second later, Arthur was being pulled into Catherine's embrace. What's this? Catherine said, her voice dangerously sweet. The show at the gala wasn't good enough? You had to come here for a better view. Now, honey, let me explain. Arthur began. I looked at Chloe, my mind racing for an excuse. You were at the gala. We were, she said, pulling me to my feet. But then I happened to check a certain someone's location on Find My Friends and knew you two were up to no good. I could only offer a weak, guilty laugh. She arched an eyebrow and dragged me out of the club. Behind me, Arthur was getting an earful from Catherine. We exchanged a helpless, defeated look as we were led away. Back home, I was sulking over the thousands of dollars we'd wasted for 2 minutes of entertainment. Chloe noticed my pout. What's wrong? Upset you had to leave. A shiver went down my spine. What? No, of course not. Good, because I've decided on a little punishment for you. Something to make sure you won't have the time or energy to even think about looking at other women. I felt a surge of panic and tried to explain, but her lips stopped my words. That night, Chloe was the one in charge, and by morning, my back ached and my legs felt like jelly. A year later, she gave birth to our son. I was leaning against the headboard, watching her cradle our sleeping baby, a profound warmth spreading through my chest. "Husband," she said softly, "for the baby's 100-day celebration, I have a gift for you." I was about to refuse, but she handed me a contract. "This film production company is now in your name. I've already signed a roster of beautiful young starlets. You can look all you want." She leaned in and whispered, "But you can't touch. Wife, I love you more than life itself." I lunged forward and covered her in kisses, and she laughed, wrapping her arms around me. In that moment, I was surrounded by a happiness so complete it felt unreal. Oh, and don't you worry about Arthur. He got his own punishment too.